What up? You made it. It's Friday. Maggie and Perloff are with you. Sit back, relax. Let's talk a little football. Because what we saw last night, Perloff, in that really fun, entertaining Thursday night affair between the Chargers and the Chiefs was great. And, unfortunately for Justin Herbert, he gets hurt at the end of the game. The x-rays are negative. They're going for a CT scan. But I think he collectively, won over some skeptics or critics or whoever was left because of how tough he was in that game. I'm still not putting him in my top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, though, because he was good. He was very good in that game, but it doesn't rise to top 5. And I'm sticking by the fact that Justin Herbert cannot be a top 5 quarterback because he has not been to the playoffs yet. Last night was excellent in terms of his story and what we saw from him, another layer of Justin Herbert, but I can't have him crack my top 5.
Yeah, I don't need your pity narrative, Maggie. I'm sticking with Justin Herbert as my top 5 quarterback, and not because he had a boo-boo and he kept on throwing the ball.
A boo-boo? He might have a cracked rib.
Josh,
who knows?
First of all, he is still as of right now, you can bet on DraftKings, he is the large favorite to have the most passing yards in the NFL. He is now 3rd in MVP odds, but he's gotten the 2nd most money for MVP bets.
Yeah, probably last night around 9 Eastern.
No, coming into the season, he was 2nd most. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's setting up beautifully for Justin Herbert because he's going to throw for 48, if he's healthy, he's going to throw for 48 touchdowns and 10 picks. They're going to win 11 or 12 games. I'm telling you, you are not going to put the future NFL MVP in your top 5.
Well,
is that weird to you that the MVP of the league is not in your top 5?
Well, he hasn't won the award yet, so everybody let's calm down. And I'm not rooting against him by any stretch. I just need to see this season play out. But he was really, really good last night outside of course, one big mistake, which was the pick 6 that really changed the entire tenor of the football game. And whether you think it was all his fault or whether it was Gerald Everett's fault, they both have to share in the blame because of just how big the miscommunication was. So those are the moments. Kirk Herbstreit was talking about it on the broadcast last night. This is where Justin Herbert still has to separate himself. We saw week 18 last year. He was completing a lot of different 4th downs, converting a lot of 4th downs, super clutch. But you have to stack some of those moments. And I don't feel like I'm moving the goalposts on him. I think you need to stack those moments. But, it seems like, and we'll get to the Chiefs in a bit, but it seems like Justin Herbert at times is actually fighting against his own team.
I see what you're saying.
And
definitely
by that, I mean his offensive coordinator calling the plays.
So obviously, part of the thing that happened last night was Keenan Allen was out, so they couldn't throw the 10-yard pass. Everything was 4 yards, 5 yards. And the Chiefs sat back and said, eventually they're going to make a mistake. So guess what happened? Eventually they made a mistake. Have you been reading that's a new defensive trend in the NFL right now?
Yep.
All the defenses are sitting back and saying, you're going to beat us with 5 yards, 6 yards. Eventually, you'll make a mistake. Now, Kansas City made about 9 mistakes themselves. They should have lost by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, my gosh. They got lucky.
If Stickum was allowed for defensive backs, you're absolutely right. I think Brandon Staley not going for it on 4th down. Maggie, explain this to me. He is known as being the most over-aggressive coach on 4th down. He is living in Chiefs territory on 4th and 2 and refuses to go for it. According to all the advanced stats, he left 10 points off the Chargers scoreboard last night because he was so non-aggressive on 4th down. Can any coach be that wimpy that they're going to listen to Twitter? Is that possible? That a man can have such little backbone that he listens to Twitter and a head NFL coach? That boggles my mind. Clearly, the Chiefs have figured out the defense. Andy Reid didn't think he needed to go for it on 4th down because I could tell Reid knew, okay, Mahomes has him dialed up right now. There's no way they're stopping him. And they couldn't after that. So I think he misjudged his opponent there. He needed to take those points when he could. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I know that they weren't perfect last night.
No.
But still, you cannot say, I'm going to sit back and be conservative and get field position against Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, especially, in the first half when they were definitely playing better than Kansas City. And the fact that they went into halftime and only had a 3-point lead felt like it was like a loss almost. They're like, geez, you guys should have a lot more points than this because watching the game, you could tell that the Chargers were clearly the better team. I mean, obviously, let's not forget, in a desperate moment, they go for it on 4th and goal at the end of the game. They get a sick touchdown from Justin Herbert, who at that point was like basically playing with only half of his body, being able to, was in excruciating pain, at least if you could read his eyes and read his body language. I mean, here's the thing about Staley. I get what he's saying here. Like last year, the Chargers defense was bad. That was a complete liability for them. And now they've invested a lot in that defensive side. Like Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, they paid Derwin James. Like they have put resources towards the defense. I'm not saying that means you don't go for it on 4th and 2 when you're in Chiefs territory, but I understand now where he could say, my defense can be a weapon. If Asante Samuel can hang on to 2 interceptions, as you said, that could have been a blowout of a game. And maybe he feels like, oh, I trust this side of the ball now.
Well, I don't care. You could add 5 more 30-something-year-old Hall of Famers. It's not going to make a difference. You're never going to contain Mahomes. We never see that any defense, as good as they are, is not going to contain a quarterback like Mahomes for that long. So that doesn't make any sense.
So you think that Brandon Staley is the biggest thing holding Herbert back?
No, I don't think anything's holding him back. I think he's going to win the MVP this year. And
what if they keep playing conservatively?
It doesn't matter because his numbers are out of control. So here's the thing. It's a dumb award because it's only regular season.
Yeah.
And I know they lost at Kansas City, but it's a week 2 game. I think they still win 11 games. And assuming Herbert's ribs aren't hurt, I think maybe they win 12 games. I think he throws for 45 to 50 touchdowns and maybe 9 or 10 picks. And he is going to be, because he got some pity points last night, I think he's going to be the narrative pick for MVP. And I don't even think last night hurt him. Yes, there was a pick 6, but I think people are like, oh, I like this kid. People like him, and his numbers are going to be monstrous. That equals MVP to me. It's going to be like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson didn't do anything in the playoffs that year, but he was new on the scene. Everyone loves the new guy. Feels like Justin Herbert picked up a lot of positive momentum. Will you admit that? I know you don't want to go top 5. I mentioned it. But it feels like he's surging.
No, I think that the playing through the injury definitely gave him more credibility. Not that he needed credibility, but it just brought a new dimension to who he is. But I also thought there was a serious conversation you could have had. And again, we don't know what the outcome is of these x-rays and CT. We know the x-rays are negative. The CT scan we're waiting on. But was it worth it to put him back out there last night? Because I think that's a legitimate question. Yeah. Not because Chase Daniel is a backup who makes like $1 gajillion, but because you were down 10. Yeah. You were very unlikely that you were actually going to cement a comeback there. I mean, the onside kick, I know it kind of popped out of the guy's hands, but we know how low of percentage those actually get converted, or, that the Chiefs would have recovered. Chargers would have recovered. So did you risk injuring your superstar? Perloff says should be the MVP already.
Will be the MVP.
Quarterback
I didn't think should be already. It's week 2. How do you name an MVP after 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, sounds like you're ready to crown him.
I say after week 18, I am willing to put money on the fact that he will be MVP of the league, or at least have the most yards. So you're right. I don't know, but what is it? Do you know, does playing with injured ribs make it worse? I actually don't know.
Well, it sure looked like it. I mean, the guy had a lane where he could have actually run for a first down, and instead basically just grounded the ball because he couldn't run. Somehow the next play, he comes up with this laser in traffic, beautiful throw, but he looks so bad, and I'm thinking, get him out of there.
Yeah.
This is not worth it. It's still week 2. You have a long season to go. You've got a lot of expectations for this year. I was surprised, actually, that he went back there. And then let's double down on the fact that, you have your guy, your franchise quarterback who's out there hurting, and all of a sudden, the line just could not block for him anymore. I mean, he was getting crunched even after he took those massive hits because, a couple guys went out like Corey Linsley and such. But, geez, he took a lot of punishment last night.
Okay. I'm assuming my guy can play with some broken ribs. Now, unless it's sort of a punctured lung or something, very possible, by the way. Let's not rule that out.
Well, the Chargers doctor did that to their other quarterback, Tyrod Taylor.
They puncture lungs all the time there. So they're 1-1. They lost at Kansas City.
You say it so flippantly. They puncture their lungs all the time.
Tell me the next loss on the Chargers schedule. I'm going to run through the schedule.
Okay.
They're 1-1 right now. Jacksonville at home. At Houston. At Cleveland. Denver at home. Seattle at home. At Atlanta, at San Francisco, who's a mess. Then they have Kansas City in week 11. They could easily enter that game at 8-1.
Yeah, let's see what Denver looks like, but that's kind of the only team.
It just lays out the first half of their schedule is a lot easier after this KC game.
Yep.
So I think this is just about Herbert. I don't trust Brandon Staley. I think they go nowhere in the playoffs, but I think that he can use this as sort of a confidence booster, believe it or not. obviously he belongs on the national stage with Patrick Mahomes. So as long as he's healthy, I think they can use this loss. That might sound weird as a stepping point off to something sort of cool and special for Justin Herbert. Because I don't think, first of all, the other MVP candidates, Rodgers lost his receivers. Tom Brady has marital problems. Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, that takes him out of it.
Patrick Mahomes,
the guy who's been able to compartmentalize for the last 22 years is suddenly going to fall off a cliff.
Patrick Mahomes is going to set the all-time record for dropped interceptions.
Because Giselle moved out.
At some point, somebody catches one of these interceptions. Who's left on the list? There's not a lot of competition here.
There is a name on the list that 10 days ago, one Mr.
Josh
Andrew
Allen.
Perloff put his money on would win the MVP, and that's Josh Allen. We're a week and a half into the season. He's already jumping off the bandwagon. Come on.
I like Allen, too. No, Allen's going to be a tough one. It's going to be 1 and 2. But,
right, and I think Herbert playing through an injury, like that starts the good narrative for him.
Yeah,
as
Allen's
far as
gonna be
building
tough.
off this loss, though, like one of those quote unquote good losses, I didn't see that.
No, from an individual standpoint, though, I think Herbert can build off that loss. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's a divisional game. It's week 2. Anybody who's overreacting to this, they were clearly the better team.
No, not overreacting. The Chargers should have had like a 20-point lead that they were sitting on. And they failed to do that. And that just seems like a theme. It was from week 1 with the Raiders where they got out to the big lead and then their offensive coordinator admitted that they got too conservative. And then even last night, so like after the pick 6, they go 3 and out in the next series. It was just like, where's the answer here? You know, like you just got punched in the mouth. Where's the punch back? And it just wasn't there.
Oh, man, I like this Chargers team. Before the pick 6, they had a 74% chance, according to ESPN, of winning that game. I'm much more positive on them. I don't see any
I'm
big
positive on
problem.
them. I don't think they're building off of that. I thought last night was a missed opportunity for them. I think like I look at that and I'm thinking, all right, our quarterback got banged up, and for what? For us to have another game where we totally chargered the end of it?
You got to remember, it's in Kansas City.
Creating a new word?
Yeah,
To charger? All right.
I think Richard Sherman used it last night of the broadcast.
think the entire Twitter world used it about 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's not new.
It's been out
That's
there.
not new. You
As a Raider fan, Stu, you've seen it many,
I've
many
seen it
times.
a lot.
He's
yes.
probably been responsible for a couple of those charging.
I'm just surprised that you guys have not called me out on charging multiple times.
Have you chargered?
I mean, I charger. I feel like, the
Chargers are going to start calling it the Samter.
Yeah, exactly. I start out strong and then I just charger it. But here's a question I have. It seems like there's something going on with this organization, right? Where it's not something about San Diego or LA. It's not the quarterback from Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert, and it's not the coach from Anthony Lynn to Brandon Staley. They seem to be like, charging seems to be a thing for like a decade where they just look great, they have talent, and they just like fall flat. So like last night was just last night, but it's just a trend with this franchise, and I don't get it.
Maybe lack of home field could be it, because they were leaving San Diego and they never, it's hard in California to have a strong fan base. Could be it. I don't know. Last night, obviously,
I think glossing over though. Like the coaches have been a problem. Brandon Staley was an issue last year. Decision making wasn't good. Anthony Lynn is to this point not a great head coach. Great offensive coordinator, not a great head coach. And I'd say Schottenheimer's either Hall of Famer was a good
borderline
coach.
Hall of Famer.
And I would say Phillip Rivers is an excellent quarterback, but also was a guy who was a risk taker.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to win a Super Bowl. Forget all that.
Yeah.
That's the past. Where do you see this team moving forward, Maggie? I need you to take a stand because you're saying nice things about them.
Yeah.
Do you think they're a distant second in the AFC West? Do you think they're a player here? Where do you put them? You have your Bills, obviously. Are they a player in this mix? Is Justin Herbert? You still can't put him top 5.
Can't put him top 5 until he makes the playoffs. That's the rules according to me.
What if he has 50 touchdowns and 4 picks?
Would that be at the end of the season? Then I can see. I just can't crown him right now after week 2 and say, oh, all of a sudden, Justin Herbert, no doubt, is better than Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and I would say Joe Burrow or Russell Wilson.
That would actually be top 1, not top 5.
Well, I can't put him anywhere there. I can't do it yet.
Okay, but so you have to wait till the season's over. So
I won't take any of those other guys off my list
by that analogy,
for Justin Herbert right now.
Right, so you're not going to call a team a Super Bowl winner until they win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Well, what's the point of that?
I got to see it to believe it?
Well, anybody could just watch a Super Bowl, 50 million people watch it and say that team's a Super Bowl winner. The only reason we're analysts is because we say it before it happens.
I can be an analyst in many ways. I can analyze what I just saw. Sometimes I predict things. We're going to make picks later on in the show.
Right, but you get my point. Yeah. You can't say, oh, I have to see them win a Super Bowl until I call them a Super Bowl winner.
He's a great quarterback. No doubt. I can see that. I see everything
You're
about
getting
it.
there. I am working you so hard on this one. I need you to get there.
I'm watching him, and I know that he's really good. But to say he's top 5 without a playoff appearance, I just can't do it. And last night I thought was a good game for him. Narrative-wise, I actually thought it was better than actually playing-wise because of how he played hurt. I think people so respect that, as we should. I mean, it's so respected. Was it stupid for the organization to actually put him back on the field? Now that's something to debate, because if he really is hurt, again, they play Jacksonville next week, but
plus they get 3 days, extra 3 days, so he's 10 days rest. Gets Keenan Allen back.
I'm assuming
they're ready to go, baby. Come on, my Chargers.
I'm assuming he's going to play, but I also, and this comes with just a little bit of like being snake bitten by this. I remember when everybody last year was like, oh, Bills are going to Jacksonville. Like, this is going to be easy. And they lost 9-6. And you know what? That game ended up costing them home field advantage. And when you're in these kind of playoff races that the Chargers are going to be in, and it's going to be really, really thin margin for error to make the playoffs, you just can't afford to do anything stupid. And one thing that would qualify as being or classify as being stupid is putting your quarterback back into a game you are most likely going to lose in week 2 and get him even more injured than he already was.
Except that we don't know if that
We don't know yet.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think he's fine. The dude threw a 40-yard touchdown or something.
How did he do that?
I don't know, but if he could do that, I'm not too worried about him. Also, he might have been Big Benning it up a little bit. Kind of.
Chargering or Big Benning?
Big Benning it up where he's overemphasizing your injuries. Yeah. Who knows?
Milking it?
I don't know. He's got a boo-boo on his rib. Get out there, put some tape on, as Drew Brees said the other day.
Yeah. Perloff, if he got a paper cut, he would call out to talk about the game, not even play in it.
That's not true. If I thought I had 40 more yards I could add to my resume, I would get out there with him. He's like, I'm not going to let this prevent drive go to Chase Daniel. I need these yards. I'm trying to win MVP.
Thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, just hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Just hit the bell.